There's only 2 Summit Cups in existence. One bait company has dominated Major League Fishing. 2 Summit Cups, 2 wins, only one bait company.
Woo! If you want to win a Major League event, you need to fish Major League baits. Strike King.
If you're not fishing Strike King, you're fishing for second place.
Hi, I'm Greg Hackney, and today on Michiana Outdoors, I want to talk line size and how to pick the difference, how to pick between braid, fluorocarbon, mono. For me, really, I'm all about how the bait acts. It's, people think about me, they think about big line and braided line and flipping sticks, and, but when it really comes down to it, I'm as comfortable with a shaky head as I am a 1.25 ounce hack attack jig. In my business, if you're going to survive, you have to be good at everything. Kind of jack of all trades, to say. You definitely cannot be one-dimensional. And so, and when I say that, but really, when I go to, I get ready for a tournament or I get ready for a new lake, I look at all the conditions, what tackle I'm going to use. The last couple years, used to, we were all mono, then braid came around, guys flipping braid, you were casting with mono, spinning rods with mono. Then we went through the fluorocarbon stage, which by far is my #1 pick over mono. It's really cut down on the times that I use mono. Now we're in a period of time where it's big to use a braid mainline and a fluorocarbon leader. And some of the ways that I pick and how to decide to do that, I just recently fished a tournament on Mille Lacs, and which is world-class smallmouth fishing, and the deal there was for me was dragging a tube. And honestly, I don't have a lot of experience dragging a tube. A lot of these things and techniques that I learn them out of necessity. I learn them from trial and error, from my experience, at these events that we go to. The smallmouth there, they were on scattered sand with scattered boulders was the deal. It's where I caught most of the majority of definitely the quality smallmouth. Dragging a tube was the best deal for me. And so I typically always, when I'm drop shotting, I like the 10-pound fluoro. I like the 10-pound braid, and then using a 6 or 8-pound fluorocarbon leader. And so I thought there, dragging a tube, that would be the deal too. I would be able to use 10-pound braided line and maybe upsize to a 12-pound fluorocarbon leader. But what I learned there from dragging that tube, lots of zebra mussels, that because that 10-pound braid sunk so fast and it would have a tendency to soak up water and get down, that my tube was hanging a lot. Every 2 or 3 casts, I'd reel in a big wad, because I'm fishing exposed head, a big wad of zebra mussels. And so I started experimenting with that. I'm like, I want to use 12-pound fluorocarbon. I know that, because it protects that tube when I'm dragging it in those zebra mussels. So I started spooling up straight 12, straight 10-pound fluorocarbon. And what I noticed in those big waves when I was drifting it, I got a lot better drift out of my tube. I didn't get hung near as much, because that 10-pound fluoro, or the 12-pound fluoro, and I alternated between the two. I threw a 3/8 ounce head on the 10 and a 1/2 ounce head on the 12. What I noticed was that I would get a better drift out of that tube. It was a more natural drift, where the braid would have a tendency to sink down and into the rocks and into the crevices. My tube was getting hung a lot, and I just got a lot more natural drift out of using straight fluoro. I was also drop shotting there some, but I found out with it, I could still get by with the fluorocarbon and the braid main line, because the deal was my weight was getting down in that stuff, but my bait was riding above it, so I could still get by with the leader. And I like to be able to use the leader any chance I can, because that little braid does so well on a spinning rod. And when you upgrade to 10 or 12-pound fluorocarbon, it is not as user friendly, spooled straight on the reel. Now I use big spinning reels with a big spool, and I find that I'm able to use bigger straight fluoro by doing that than, say, with a 30 or a 20 size spinning reel. I go to a 40 or a 50 size, you know, because that big spool allows me to use that bigger fluorocarbon, and I'm able to use straight fluorocarbon. You know, another deal is, yeah, if I'm flipping a 1 ounce jig, man, I can do that with 50 or 65 pound braid. And that's typically a technique where I'm flipping and letting it go out. But in the same grass edge that I might be fishing and I'm needing to cast that jig and those fish are laying on the bottom, you know, I'll typically use a 14 or 16 pound gamma fluorocarbon to do that with. I change with each application. And for me, I don't necessarily get caught up in using something I like. I try to use something that will make me more efficient and does the job. So basically what I'm saying is keep an open mind, experiment a little bit. You know, the same old that what used to work days ago, you know, equipment's better now, and by tweaking your tackle, tweaking your line size, you know, you can get a few more bites by doing that. It just makes you more efficient.